Hey guys, Alicia Cross here, and today we're talking about getting toned. What does that mean? And a lot of you have this goal, so I want to clear up some misinformation and then give you some helpful information so that you can reach your goal. So if you are new to me, I am Alicia Cross of Alicia Cross Training. I am a yoga instructor, a personal trainer, and a wellness coach, and I have been working with clients just like you for over 18 years, helping you to reach your goals, holding you accountable, clearing up the misinformation that's out there, especially around fad diets and gimmicks and exercise trends. So if you have found me live, thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. Say hi, give me a wave, and whether you are watching live or watching the replay later, say hi, and if you have questions, post them here anytime. I would love to chat more with you about this. All right, so let's get into this. You want to get toned. What does that mean, and what does it take? So a lot of, I always start with asking my clients, what their goal is so I can best help them. And a lot of people, especially women, they have this goal of, I want to get more toned. So let's talk about what that is. So muscle tone is actually stiffness or tension. So it's like a little bit of a contraction, a little bit of an activation that's there in your muscle all of the time. This is important for your posture. So you couldn't stand up straight if your muscles weren't slightly turned on, slightly engaged. So the tension, that stiffness, that muscle tone, it is important. You should have some degree of resting muscle tone. This also helps to store energy to release later, and it allows for fluid movements. So your muscles need to know like when to engage and how much to engage. Think about if you've ever picked up like a big bottle that you thought was full, right? And you kind of like rip it off the table because your mind thinks that it's heavier than it actually is. So your muscles like over prepare. So that muscle tone helps you to have fluid movements throughout your day. Hi Nora, thanks for watching. So that is muscle tone. Muscle tone is also, we use this word like if you have a knot or a trigger point, that's a muscle, that's an area of hypertonicity. So that muscle is like extra turned on in that spot. That's what a knot is. That's also what a cramp is. So if you've gotten like a Charlie horse in your foot, or you've got a cramp somewhere, that's like more muscle tone. It's tightening up, it's tensing. And so that is what tone is. And I want to say here that the way that you decrease your muscle tone, like if you have too much resting muscle tone, like you're too tight all of the time, you want to do some stretching as well as self-myofascial release. That decreases your muscle tone, and that also helps with like mental stress. So if you are feeling stressed out and you are just generally a tense person, like physically tense, definitely do some stretching and some foam rolling to ease that tension. So when you come to me and you say you have this goal of getting more toned, what you actually mean is that you want more muscle and less fat. You want to see your muscle. So you got to have muscle there to see, and you got to get the fat out of the way so that you can see it. So how do we get more muscle and less fat? Well, first we need to start with where you're at. We need to measure where you're at to see where we want to go. So with all of my clients, we of course, you report your body weight or we check it, and then we check your body composition, i.e. your body fat. So this is a handheld tool for bioelectrical impedance, and I just put in your numbers, so your weight, your height, your age, your sex, and then you hold the handles and you stay real still for just a couple of seconds, and it sends a little current. You don't feel it, but it sends a current from one hand to the other. And that does a little algorithm. So based on the numbers that we put in and how long it took for that current to get from one hand to the other, it tells us what it thinks your body fat is. And it has an error rating of plus or minus 4%. You can buy these. You can get these on Amazon. You can also get the scales that you stand on, and the surface that you stand on the scale is metal, and I believe then you also hold onto something with your hands. I've never used one of these. But it's doing the same thing. It's sending a current and reporting back what it thinks your body fat is. I don't know the error rating on the scales that you stand on. So from my experience, some clients who've had those, and we also check on mine, we get similar numbers. The only time you could have a problem with this handheld is if say you're a woman and you just carry a lot of weight in your upper body, if you're very large chested, this may report a higher number than the scale which is going through your full body, but I've never seen big discrepancies. And what's cool with the scales too is you can even get a scale that like has an app, so it's tied to your phone and it's tracking it for you. So there's some really cool devices out there if you want to track this stuff. All right, so it is measuring your body fat percentage, so it gives us a percent number. And then what I usually do is just a little calculation, so multiply that percent by your body weight, and that tells me the amount of weight that is fat, and then I subtract that from your total body weight, and it tells me what the rest is, or we just call that lean. So I have your fat in your body fat in pounds and your lean in pounds. And I keep a record of that, or I ask you to keep a record of that, and then I suggest checking that every month. Now, I've recently added the caveat, check it every month if you have been losing weight or you notice that your clothes are fitting differently. There's got to be some change that is happening in your body. Because if there's no change happening, if you weigh the same, if your clothes fit the same, I would not expect your body fat to be different. And so some clients, they seem kind of disappointed when they see their body fat percentages the same, but if nothing is changing, I don't expect anything to change. So just know that you want to be experiencing a change. And what I want to point out here is that you can have a little change in your body weight and have big changes in your body fat percentage and the way you look and the way your clothing fits. I had a client who had a pretty lofty weight loss goal. She wanted to lose like 30 or 40 pounds. We started her on strength training. She was already, doing yoga, doing boot camp type classes, and we started her lifting heavy weights. And I think she lost maybe 5-10 pounds, but at that point she was taking in all her suits to get altered. Her body had completely changed with just a little bit of weight loss because we increased her muscle. And you want this because your body does have a weight that it likes to be. And it's kind of like whether that weight is fat or muscle, it doesn't care. It wants to stay there. So trying to lose 30 or 40 pounds is a heck of a lot harder than gaining some muscle and just losing about 5 pounds. Because when you start losing weight, your body starts to, it thinks you're in trouble, it thinks you're in danger, it thinks it's not a good thing, so it starts to kick in all these mechanisms that prevent you from losing weight. Like it's going to make you tired, it's going to make you feel lethargic and not like working out, it's going to make you hungry, it's going to make you crave sugary or fattening foods to try to keep you at that weight. So if you are kind of tricking your body and your mind and you are building muscle but not losing weight, then those mechanisms hopefully aren't kicking in or not kicking in as strong. So body fat, okay, checking where you're at, checking your weight and your body fat. And then the reason why we want to keep checking your body composition or your body fat percentage monthly while you're losing weight is because we want to make sure that you're losing fat and not muscle. Now, when you are losing, especially if you're losing a lot, you may lose a little bit of both, but we definitely want you to be losing fat and not muscle. And so we mitigate that by eating plenty of protein. So eating protein to keep that lean muscle as you are doing all the things to lose fat. So make sure that your weight loss is coming from fat, not muscle, because you don't want to lose lean body mass. You want to lose fat. Okay, so you work on your building your muscle, increasing your muscle, and losing fat so you can see that definition, aka getting more toned. So with your diet, that is going to be eating in a way that supports your goals, which is, as I mentioned, eating more protein, super important. And then studies have shown that diets that are either low fat or low carb can support and lead to your weight loss goals. So you have to pick what's right for you. I usually give the parameters for calorie intake and total calories and grams of protein. And you can eat up to 1 gram of protein per pound of desired body weight. So what is your desired body weight? 150, 130, 120? That tells you the amount of grams of protein that you can eat per day. So 120 grams, 150 grams. The more protein you eat, the better. Of course, if right now you're barely eating any protein, then you are not going to want to jump all the way up to that highest number. You're going to start gradually increasing your protein, and just doing that alone, you're going to start noticing some changes in your body. And then the fat and the carbohydrate intake, I leave up to you because you're going to prefer one or the other. If you are doing really intense workouts, you are going to need more carbohydrates to support that, and especially pre and post workout. So on those days that you work out, you're going to get a little bit more calories, and they're going to be coming from those carbohydrates pre and post workout. But of course, the breakdown of where that comes from, I think you got to find what works for you as far as fat and carbohydrates. But obviously, you've got to be eating the good fats and not the processed carbs. So the carbohydrates are coming from grains. They are coming from vegetables. That's why you're never going to get a high five from me if you tell me that you're not eating carbs, because that means you're not eating vegetables, and you need those. You need those micronutrients that are in the vegetables. And then fats, you want to have your good fat sources from nuts, from seeds, from coconut, avocado, if you eat salmon, what else? Olive oil, so all the good stuff that you know. So basically just avoiding processed foods, and you're going to get the good carbs, the quote-unquote good carbs, good fat that you want in your diet. And again, finding that balance that works for you. So your diet will support the weight loss the fat loss while retaining the muscle. Okay, now let's get into the good stuff. Exercise. So what kind of exercise do you need to do to support these goals of having more definition, having more tone, which means more muscle, less fat? Contrary to what you may think or have seen, cardio is not the best form of exercise for weight loss. Cardio is for your heart and your lungs. Yes, that is important. You still need to do it, but that's not your go-to exercise for losing fat, losing weight. It is absolutely 100% based on diet, and then your exercise is strength training. And good for you, strength training will help you to lose the fat and build the muscle. So strength training is your go-to exercise. And the reason why strength training is important is because when you are increasing your muscle, you are increasing the amount of calories that you burn all day long. So when we start getting into our 40s and up, we lose lean body mass, which means our metabolism slows down, and that's why you have that gradual creep of weight gain. Maybe you think you're doing the same thing, and you could very well be, but your body is burning less calories all day long, and those additional calories get stored as fat. Not to mention, hormonal changes that happen, especially with women as we get into, 40s, 50s, 60s, get up there. So the strength training builds up the muscle, which burns more calories all day long, so you're burning more calories. That's important because the majority of the calories that you burn are at rest. It's not what you do in the gym that matters as much as what you're doing all day long. That's where the majority of the calorie burn comes from, so you want to be a more efficient calorie burner all day, and to do that with strength training. So strength training will help you with that goal of losing fat and building muscle. So remember, you can make those changes in your body that you're looking for. And okay, so what kind of strength training? Let me back up. So I had a really great question from one of my semi-private training clients this week, Susie. Thank you for this question. So I talked about belly fat, what to do about belly fat in last week's live, and I kept talking about weights. I kept using the word weights. So for me, weights has become like a euphemism that means strength training, but I'm going to be more mindful and make sure that I say strength training so that I don't confuse you, because strength training is anything where you're working with resistance, because strength is the ability to overcome an external force. That external force could be gravity. If you're doing push-ups, you don't need weights, right? That's gravity in your body weight. That's the external force. Same thing if you're doing body weight squats or body weight lunges. The force is gravity and your body weight. The resistance can also come from bands. I love bands. We use a lot of bands in my semi-private training. That is the resistance. You can also use your body weight as resistance when you are using TRX. So I do a TRX semi on Tuesdays. So the angle that you place your body at changes how much resistance you have. So if you are walking yourself closer and closer to parallel to the floor, say in a row, then you are going to be lifting more of your body weight, and it increases the resistance. If you walk yourself up straighter, so you're more parallel to the walls, then the resistance is less. So that's one of the reasons why one of the many reasons why I love TRX is because I can have a group of 6 people all at different levels. We can all do rows, and you just position your feet to wherever you want to be, so you get the challenge that you need for that day. So that's another way that you can move your body weight is with the TRX. And then you can also resistance train or strength train with weights. And that can be, free weights, dumbbells, barbells, machines, yes, but I'm not a huge fan of machines, but that is another way that you can strength train. So I'm going to be really mindful of the words that I choose, and I'm going to say strength training instead of always saying weights, because weights is not the only way to strength train. Now, if you are interested in lifting, heavy, talking about, deadlifting your body weight or benching your body weight, then yes, you're going to need barbell and free weights. But for most of us, especially for a lot of my clients who are 40, 50, 60, all the way up to 80, we can get that amazing workout that we're looking for, strength training with the dumbbells, the kettlebells, the bands, bodyweight exercises, all those things that I have available to me at the Meta Center. Okay, so exercise, strength training. Okay, we covered that. All right, so strength training. I have this great little cheat sheet that I made about what benefits you get based on the rep range that you're working in. So if you want this, just type your email in the comments, or if you don't want to do that, just send me a private message through Facebook with your email address, and I will send the sheet to you. So how do we know how many reps to do? And I really want to talk about this because you may have the misconception that you need to do a whole bunch of reps with really light weights to get more quote-unquote toned. And I want to set the record straight on that. Because for a lot of us, especially women, you may think, well, I don't want to get bulky, so I'm not going to go lift heavy weights. Let me clear that up right now. And I don't know what you consider bulky. That's, of course, very subjective. You may think I'm bulky. I don't know. But if you're seeing maybe women on TV who are competing in CrossFit, or they're on stage and they are doing the physique competitions when they're all bronzed and oiled up, you may think they are bulky. I just want to reassure you that that does not happen by accident. They have, trainers and coaches. They have a very dedicated training plan. They're training multiple times a day. They are training with, incredibly a lot of intensity and a lot of volume. So a lot of weight, a lot of reps. They have their nutrition dialed into a T, and what they are doing, since they are competing, they do kind of place their health on the back burner. If they're competing in like a strongman or a CrossFit or some kind of powerlifting competition, they are going to push themselves past the point of what's healthy for their body so that they can reach their goal of, winning this competition. If they are getting up on stage and competing, well, the way you see that muscle definition is they got to get all the water out of their body. So they are taking diuretics leading up to the show. They have incredibly calorie restricted diets in addition to very intense strength and cardio workouts to get in that state that you see. So that does not happen by accident. You will not accidentally get bulky. I assure you of that. Women, we don't have the hormones, we don't have the testosterone, which that's something else that could be happening with the people that you're seeing. But it's just the way that you eat and the way that you work out in normal everyday life, you're just not going to suddenly get bulky. So let me hopefully relieve you of that fear. But you do want to have muscle. I mean, muscle is very attractive. That is the shape of your legs, your glutes, your shoulders. Like, that's muscle. That's what gives you the attractive shape. So don't be afraid to put on some muscle, and then losing some of the fat so you can see all of your hard work. Because if you're building muscle and you're building fat, then maybe also that's what gives you the impression of that, bulky. Somebody who is say if you see a woman doing a strongman competition or a powerlifting competition, she's incredibly strong, but she's not going to have the definition that maybe somebody that's competing on stage is going to have. A bodybuilder, that's bodybuilding, and that's because she has muscle and fat to have the strength. And maybe that's what you see as bulky. So then you have to make sure that if you are building muscle, you are also losing fat. Or yes, you're just going to get bigger because you're putting on muscle and fat. But if you're dialing in your diet and burning more calories all day long, you are going to have some fat loss. All right, so this little cheat sheet about how many reps and the benefits that you get. So if you are lifting, say, for 15 to 25 reps, this is good for building your endurance, so the endurance in your muscles. It's good for hypertrophy, which means building size. It's also great, this is a technique used in rehabilitation, and this is how you kind of retrain your nervous system. So let's say you're stuck with your shoulders up to your ears all day long. You may be doing exercises like a row for 20 to 25 reps where you're really focusing on pulling your shoulders down. So you're retraining your nervous system to keep your shoulders down throughout these other movements that you are making. What is important here, though, is that you choose the appropriate weight. So let's say you grab those little tiny 1-pound dumbbells and do 15 to 25 reps. Unless you're injured, that's probably not going to do anything for you. So the idea, though, is that you're feeling it. You're feeling those last couple reps. You're lifting the heaviest weight you could possibly lift for those repetitions. Okay, so that's a high rep range of 20 to 25 reps. That's probably going to be, that might even be 1 set. At the most, it's going to be 3. Really, it might be 2. The next rep range is 12 to 15, and this could be 3 to 4 sets. So often I'll do maybe 4 sets of 12 or 3 sets of 15 for myself or for my clients. This is, again, good for endurance, so building up the endurance in your muscles. So you have muscular strength and you also have endurance in your muscles, so just the ability to do something for a long time before you hit failure. This is also good for hypertrophy, building size. And this is pretty standard. This is the standard rep range that I work in with my clients and my semi-private training clients. Pretty standard. But again, it's got to be you're failing at those 12 to 15 reps. And you adjust that by doing more weight or finding a more challenging variation, walking your feet a little more forward in that TRX so that it's really hard to squeeze out those last couple of reps. Now, if you are able to increase the weight even more, you could do 6 to 12 reps. And this is going to be more sets, so up to 5 sets. And this is going to be building your strength. So you will see some strength gains when you're doing these higher reps. But if you really want to get stronger, 6 to 12 reps. And I really think about the way that when I very first started in the gym and I was on machines, I did that probably classic rep scheme where, first set was 12 reps, increase the weight. Second set was 10 reps, increase the weight. Third set was 8 reps. So this is a very classic way to start, and that is how you build strength. So your body is getting stronger by doing a little bit less reps because you're doing them for more weight and more sets. This is also going to mean that you rest longer between the sets. The heavier the weight, the less the repetitions, the longer the rest, because you have to let the strength build back up in your muscles. So working at a range of 6 to 12 reps helps you to build strength. And it will do a little bit of hypertrophy because you're getting into that 12 rep range. And again, it's got to be the heaviest weight. So let's say you're doing 5 sets of 6 reps of squats or deadlifts. That's going to be a pretty heavy weight. It's going to be way heavier than if you're doing a set of 15 squats or 25 squats. 25 squats, you can do body weight and you're probably going to feel it. You need to pick up a pretty heavy weight to be tired after 6 reps. Okay, and then the smallest tier, the last tier, is 1 to 5 reps, and this is max strength. Max strength, so the most you could possibly lift. This is, if you hear 1 rep max or 2 rep max or 3 rep max, what is the heaviest weight you could deadlift 1 time, 2 times, or 3 times? Hey, Susie. This, again, you're going to need access to heavy weights, free weights, to do this kind of lifting. You're not going to do 1 to 5 reps on the TRX or on bands. And this is how you build, again, maximum strength and power. So power is strength times speed. So if you're doing some kind of power movement, which would be like an Olympic lift, a snatch or a clean and jerk, or power movements could be a kettlebell swing, that's speed and strength, that's a power movement. That could be done in these lower rep ranges to build that power, because power is explosive. And that's going to have the longest rest time, so 5 minutes. So if you're doing, 2 reps or 1 reps of a heavy deadlift, you are going to sit down and rest for 5 minutes in between. If you saw my story I think I posted it this week, but I did the metabolic test on the bike, and it showed me that I am 60% fast twitch. So I'm 60% anaerobic. That is the opposite of aerobic. So aerobic is going for long periods of time. That's not me. I'm mostly anaerobic. That means go, sit down and rest. Go, sit down and rest. So that's how I like to teach my cycle classes, sprint, and then down. That's the kind of workouts I like if I'm doing boot camp type workouts, you know, like a Tabata time where I go and then I get to rest and then go again and then I get to rest. And I also like to lift heavy. So I like to lift heavy weights and then sit down and rest. That's what my muscle fibers are built for. And so maybe you know, do you like running long races? Do you like running? I know I don't. So if you like running long races, you may be more slow twitch. That doesn't mean that you don't also need to strength train. Just like for me, even though I don't like running long races, I still need to have cardio. Remember that cardiorespiratory training is good for your heart and lungs, and we need both the intervals and the steady states. I think it's cool to know what you like, but you still need to do everything. So I'm made for this. My cells are made for this. Those higher intensities with fewer reps, less volume, and lots of rest. So that's what I like. So if you are, okay, so how does this apply? Okay, so you want to build that muscle. So it's important to cycle through these. This is why you want to have progressive overload and periodization, which means maybe for 12 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, you're going to do a certain weight at 12 to 15 reps. And then you're going to start a new cycle where you're going to vary up the exercises, or you're going to increase the resistance. And you're going to you can keep the same rep range. So if you're always doing 12 to 15, something's got to change. You could also do 4 weeks of 6 to 12 reps, 4 weeks of 12 to 15 reps, 4 weeks of 15 to 25 reps. I mean, you can search online for exercise programs and you are going to find so many different variations. And remember, I said this 2 weeks ago maybe, the best program is the one that you will stick to. So don't search for the perfect program. What can you do? Whatever you do, and you can do it consistently, that's the thing that's going to work for you. If you do not have access to, or you have no desire to lift heavy deadlifts, then don't worry about the 1 to 5 and the 6 to 12. The way this looks in my semi-private is I have, maybe if they're newer, I encourage them to do 10 to 12 reps. And if they've been there for a while, it's like, okay, it's time to do 15 to 18 reps. So that's the change that happens, is they're doing more reps of the same exercise. What I also do is introduce different variations. So maybe instead of doing that TRX row with 2 feet on the ground, okay, now try standing on 1 foot. So you're just introducing a new variation. So that's how we make changes in there. And all of that is putting a different stressor, a different stimulus on your muscles so that they can respond and change. Because your body will get used to what you do. And if you're just feeling like you're plateauing, or you're not getting a challenge anymore, or you're bored, then it's time to mix it up and do something else. So as great as that workout video might be that you like to do online, if you've been doing it for 8 weeks or 3 months, you may need to find another workout video or something different. So when you are strength training with whatever method you've chosen, you want to stay consistently for however number of weeks you've decided, and then it's time to change it up. And that could be even using different equipment. So maybe you're doing 6 weeks of weights, and then you're going to go do 6 weeks of TRX. So you got to try and see what works for you, but you do need to strength train. All right, so I think I covered everything I wanted to tell you about. If you have a question, post it in the comments. So if you want to get more quote-unquote toned, what that means is you want more muscle and less fat, and we do that through diet and exercise. And if you want this chart that has the breakdown of the reps, so it's the reps, the sets, the rest, the benefits, and some notes and some definitions. If you want this, just put your email address in the comments, and if you don't want to make it public, just send me a private message with your email address, and I will send you this chart that I made. So if you have any questions, post them, send me a message anytime. If you have a topic that you would like me to cover in a future video, because I go live every week, post it in the comments or send me a message. Next week, I'll post a reminder about this, but next week, Wednesday, I'm having some work done at the house, so I know I won't be able to come on here at 10. So I'll come on later. I'm just not sure what time that's going to be, but I'll give you a reminder. But I will be here. I'll be here every week. So I look forward to talking to you guys then. Thank you. Bye.